For
Sorry about that.
For example, somebody who's got diabetes, they can take a medicine, they can take metformin, or they can change their diet. Both of those things will reverse the process of diabetes. They'll no longer have diabetes. High blood pressure is a perfect example. Somebody you can go to your doctor, oh, your blood pressure's high, I'm going to give you a pill. Or you can just remove all the salt from your diet. Either way, you know, it's a treatment for high blood pressure. The behavioral means is to change the amount of salt that's going into your diet. The pharmaceutical means would be to take the medicine. My expertise is in how do we treat disease through behavioral means? What's within our power? What's within our control? So when we come to something like prostate cancer, it's like, okay, we've been thrown this, you know, been hit from behind with this thing, right? Nobody knew this is coming. And you might feel like it's not in your control. But however, we do know that there's a number of lifestyle variables that impact all cancer, including prostate cancer. So a couple of those are, which we'll go over today. I'll name off 5 of them, and then we'll kind of go through them. Sleep, the amount of sleep that you get. Nutrition, that's not a surprising one. Physical activity, psychological stress, and hydration, or detoxification of the body. Those 5 things we know have an impact on cancer and prostate cancer in particular. Before I jump into it, a couple neat little facts. Who's here? Who's married here? 1, 2, 3. Okay, the 3. Any of your wives have prostate cancer? No, but they have a prostate. They have 2 glands that acts just similar to what the male prostate does, but you never hear about female prostate cancer. It's called SKEEN. It's not called prostate, but it's the female prostate does the same thing. So it's pretty much entirely a male condition, right? So when we look at that, when we flip this and you look at some of the information that I know you guys pass out and David passes out, what's the female equivalent to prostate cancer? Anybody know?
That's the breast and the vagina.
Yeah. And that's hormones. So if we think about breast tissue, it's estrogen. When we think about prostate, we think about testosterone. So we can see that there's definitely a hormonal component to cancer, right? We know that's there, which is why I'm sure everybody has had. Last month when we had that conversation with him about the testosterone, he was saying you don't want low testosterone, you want to get your testosterone high. We know there's a ratio there, and so we know that hormones play a role in that. All of these items that we're going to talk about today do impact your hormones. If you change your sleep, you will impact your hormones. Absolutely, it has an impact. If you don't sleep for a night, and I measure your cortisol, which is a hormone, your cortisol will be elevated the next day. If you don't sleep for a number of nights, your testosterone will go down. You'll be able to measure a appreciable change in those hormones when you have these lifestyle interventions. So think about these as impacting this pool that you live in. This pool is your body, and there's all of these different factors that happen in your body, and what you do on a daily basis determines what goes on inside your body. So let's start with sleep. How many hours of sleep do you think we need per night? The human body for health.
6.
7.
Yeah, 7. Yep. Anything less than 6 was shown to have a 50% increase in prostate cancer. So basically, they did a meta-analysis. They took people who had prostate cancer and asked them how many hours they sleep. If the individual said they slept less than 6 hours, they were a big group of individuals, they were more likely to have been diagnosed with prostate cancer than not. That's a pretty big number, right? They could see that in the study. So, how many hours do you sleep? Do you have prostate cancer? How many hours sleep? Do you have prostate cancer? How many? Go and ask, thousands of people. 50% likelihood if you have less than 6 hours of sleep per night. Now, interesting thing about sleep is what happens is your body grows at night. If you ever get to see a time lapse of a flower or a plant, the flower opens up in the daylight, absorbs sunlight, absorbs rain, moisture, and then it closes at night and grows in height. Next day it opens up, absorbs the nutrients, closes and grows. So it grows at night. So we know that at night our body does all of the repair that it needs to do. It does all of its functioning. We grow more at night than we do any time of the day as we're young kids. Babies grow at night, which is why they sleep so much. So think about it, if you're taking this item that does cellular repair, fixes everything in your body, cleans up the waste product, removes and detoxifies, it's doing all this process at night, and you take that and you take it from maybe 7 or 8 hours and you cut it down to 6. Well, if I do that, let's say I cut an hour a night. Let's just say I just cut 1 hour a night. At the end of the week, it's equivalent to having 1 whole night's less sleep. Multiply that times 4 weeks, see where we're going, you go to 52 weeks. You're cutting a whole lot of repair out of your life. So to answer the question, anything less than 6, we know it is not good. 8 is ideal. So 8 hours a night, if you want to, and that's why I put it first on the list. It's if somebody wanted to do one thing to improve their health, it would be improve their sleep, improve the quality and quantity of your sleep. 10 hours is great, but if you're not sleeping those 10 hours, it's not really good. So it needs to be quality sleep as well. But think of that, that's when you're repairing. Now, the time that you sleep is also important. So what we do know is hormones go in what we call a circadian rhythm, and our sleep is in a circadian rhythm. And we're not nocturnal beings, right? We're asleep at night, awake during the day. We're not bats. So the ideal time frame to sleep is from 10 p.m. to 6 a.m. If you stay up after 10 p.m., cortisol starts to elevate. Cortisol is the hormone in our body. We call it the fight or flight hormone. It's the hormone that revs us up. It's the hormone that lets us run away from the lion when we were being chased in ancestry times. But that when it comes to nighttime and it's dark for a period of time and we're still awake, our bodies aren't used to that. That's not where we're supposed to be. We're supposed to be sleeping safe at night. So if we're awake, cortisol starts to elevate. I'll give you a perfect example of how this happens. It could be 8 o'clock at night and you're wide awake, you're ready to go, and you're moving along, and then 9 o'clock comes and you get a little tired, and 10 you get a little more tired, but you're staying up. And then by 11 or 12, you're wide awake again. That's cortisol. So if you ever have noticed that you're sleepy earlier, but you didn't go to sleep, and then you can't fall asleep, that's because your cortisol got elevated. Because you stayed up past your regular sleep cycle, and now your body's revved up and trying to keep you safe because you're awake at night. So think about your sleep patterns. The most important thing is, and if you can't get the 10 to 6, if it's 11 to 7 or 11 to 5, you're doing 7 hours. The key is that you keep your sleep within 1 hour on each side of it. So if you're going to bed at 10 on most nights, don't stay up till 12 on the weekends and then expect to try to get back to bed at 10 on Monday. Keep it within 1 hour on your sleep and your wake cycle. Your body starts to learn this process. And you repeat it over and over again, your body gets used to it. So we want to have a sleep cycle that's pretty regular. So if you have a sleep cycle that's throwing you off and you're working third shift, when you're younger, you're working third shift and then you're not, that's really tough on the body. I'm sure if we did a study on sleep patterns and health or cancer, we'd see that. We'd see those in people that work those other shifts. So let me stop there. Any questions about sleep?
Yes. Are we talking uninterrupted sleep, or like most of us, I'm sure, will get up at least maybe perhaps once? So are we talking about solid straight through or interrupted sleep?
Well, that's why I say quality and quantity of sleep. We have a certain quantity, which we talked about. Quality is what we want. So the key is that if you wake up, you get back to sleep. A couple of things you can do for that. If you're going to get up and urinate in the middle of the night, don't turn a light on. As soon as you turn a light on, light comes into the eye and we stop producing melatonin. Your body doesn't know that you're just getting up to pee and going back to bed. So what it does is it goes, oh, it's light out. It's time to get up. Your body stops producing melatonin. Your sleep after you put light into your eye will be not as deep the rest of that night. So ideally, if you're going to get up, don't turn a light on when you go to the bathroom and you can't see the toilet. I have a little night light in mine. It's just, I got a little outlet down by the floor and it lights it up just enough. So.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, but we are talking about it needs to be as uninterrupted as possible.
Right.
If somebody does get interrupted, a good segue into that. If somebody does have interrupted sleep, let's say you're up for a couple hours at night, you can nap during the day. It's still how much sleep you get in a 24-hour period. So if you're not getting enough sleep during the day and you find that a nap works good in the afternoon, take it. The ideal cycle for a nap is 90 minutes. 90 minutes allows us to go through all the stages of sleep and come back out. So anything less than 90, you're probably not going to get through all the stages of sleep. And you might actually feel a little less rested when you wake up. But 90 minutes would be the ideal. My only hesitation when people start talking about napping is when you nap, you then start pushing your circadian rhythm back, and you might find it more difficult to fall asleep that next night. So if you start having that, take the naps out and just stay up and get better sleep at night. But we want it to be as quality as possible.
Thank you.
Yes.
Yeah. That quality question, boy, to me is,
Yes.
I could spend a couple of hours talking about lack of quality sleep.
Yes.
Because I get up at 2 in the morning, up at 2 or 3 nights a week, and my mind is just racing with things that I have to do or worry about. It could be my kids, could be my job doing this, could be some of you guys thinking about your issues, whatever it is. And what I do, it seems to help a little, is I keep a little notepad
Yes.
right by my bed.
Absolutely.
And I write things down and I say, okay, I can take care of it in the morning as long as I.
That was going to be my
Don't forget.
suggestion. That works really well. If you're one of those people that your best thoughts come in the middle of the night, and I'm one of these people, and you don't want to lose those thoughts, and there's actually, since I follow that same pattern, I was like, why does this always happen? I have some of my best and most creative thoughts come right after sleep, which it makes sense. That's when I'm most rested, right? So I started looking into that and said, okay, well, that makes sense. I'm most rested. That's when my mind's going to be the clearest. If you wake up in the middle of the night, or that first hour when you wake up in the morning. So yeah, years ago, I was taught to take the notepad, put it next to the bed, and just write it down. Whatever it is, put it down on paper. That way, what happens psychologically is once you've caught it on paper, you can let go of it.
Right.
You can say, okay, I've got it, and now I can rest, and it'll be there for me in the morning. Absolutely. Yeah.
You're talking about 8 hours sleep. I can't sleep that long.
So
If I get 6 hours to 6.5, that's good enough.
yes.
And if I'm in bed past 6.5 hours, all I'm doing is laying there. And I'm trying
Correct.
to force myself to sleep more, and I can't do it.
So here's what you want to do. As long as you are waking up without an alarm clock and you're refreshed, then you might be. There are what we call outliers to that 8-hour rule. And it comes back to your quality question. The human body, if we were to take you and put you into a room with no light, no dark, and just let you sleep and wake up and let you sleep and wake up, you'd follow a natural rhythm of about 24 hours. It actually shifts a little bit. It's really closer to 25, and we kind of force it into it. But if we've done these studies where we'll put people in rooms where they don't have any outside environment, they'll roughly follow that pattern. If you sleep and we put you in that room and you sleep and you have nothing to wake you up, you will wake up when your body's done doing the repair, the cellular repair for that night. And it only can do so much of it in one period, right? So and when it's done doing that repair, that's when it will wake up. So there are what we call outliers to the 8-hour rule that fall either a little lower than that or a little higher than that. So you're at the 6-hour mark, which is fine. And as long as you're awake, you're rested, you're not waking with an alarm, you don't have any tiredness during the day, perfect. You're getting the amount of sleep that you need.
That's been going on for quite a number of years.
Yes.
Too,
Yep, and that's just where you're at. What that means is you're doing all the cellular repair you need during the night, so that's perfect. Now, interestingly, sleep is like credit card debt. It doesn't go away. Let's say you need 8 hours, but you only give your body 6 and you wake up with an alarm clock. You lost 2 hours right there. So during those 2 hours you didn't get, let's say, because you would have slept till late if you were just sitting and allowed to sleep as long as you want. Those 2 hours, whatever cells didn't get repaired are not repaired. You have to make it up at some point. And if you don't, eventually your body says, well, okay, that's not going to get repaired. We're not going to make that cell any better. That cell is going to then be aged in that process. So that's where a lot of aging occurs, is we don't get the cellular repair done during the night. But what you're getting is you're getting all of it done in that 6 hours, and that's perfect. You just got an efficient system.
I don't get it all at one time, because I do wake up. I go to bed always between 10:30 and 11:30 every night. Every night, same thing, no matter what.
Good.
But sometimes I can only sleep like 2.5, 3 hours, so I got to get up and go to the bathroom. And urinate, because I have leaks, and I'm wearing pads and I'm wearing briefs. And sometimes they get wet right in the bed. And it's been going on for quite a while, and I probably maybe I would like to get surgery, because when I was in Safety Harbor, there was one of the doctors was telling me about this another doctor that had this done. so they can stop the leaks.
Mm-hmm. Yep. Yeah, the
And-
sling. Yeah,
Right. Yeah.
absolutely.
And I'm thinking about getting that surgery with my new urologist. But this doctor here had a Sacred Harbor, Dr. Zachary said that it's kind of risky for my age. What do you think?
I don't know a lot about the surgery. I think that's the surgery where you've got a
Artificial sphincter.
right. Yeah, is that what it does? Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
I've got that.
Oh, you got it done? Oh, that's good. So you can tell me something about that. So did it help?
It did for 5.5 years.
And you know,
And
when I
just
was
like anything else,
right, yeah,
it wears out.
right. Because when I was reading that, she only gave me about two pages, you know, and it's about 7 pages in all. And I was saying to myself, I wonder what everything else said on that, because it doesn't sound like a guarantee. I want a 100% guarantee, and not most everything is not 100% guaranteed. You know?
Yeah,
And
well,
now you're telling me only 5 years it lasts.
yeah, well, quite
I mean,
frankly,
it's better than nothing.
when I did it, I was having, the same thing. I was wearing pads and I was
Right.
wearing
And briefs, right? Yeah.
briefs and
Right.
whatnot, and it was just horrible. It was uncomfortable, and every once in a while,
Why was it? What do you mean?
The pads and briefs
Getting
were
up to
uncomfortable.
go to the bathroom. That's what you're saying?
yeah,
Oh yeah, of course. But that's what I'm doing now. I'm getting up sometimes two times a night, sometimes 3 times a night.
well, even after I got the surgery, I was still getting up at night, but I was able to control pretty much what was going on by using the artificial sphincter. Now that thing is put into your scrotum. It's a stick with a rubber little squeegee thing on the end of it. You gotta be careful so you grab that and not one of your testicles, because that'll really wake you up.
Yeah.
And you reach down, you grab the stick, and when you squeeze it, it opens up the little they call it artificial sphincter. Cuff, whatever it is. It opens it up and allows the flow of urine, and then slowly but surely it closes after the urine passes through. And that was working great for 5 years. And I kept saying to myself, boy, this is terrific. And then about 8 months ago, I'd cough, I'd bend over to pick up one of the pets, stand up straight. All of a sudden I look down, my shorts are soaking wet. So I just came from the urologist over at Sarasota this morning before I came here. And he said, he says, you got the thing done in Chicago. How long ago? I said, going on 7 years. And he says, we're finding out now that just like anything else, the parts wear out. He says, where the ureter comes through the what do you call it? Cuff. After opening and closing so many times, okay, it's either the cuff or it's your ureter, the tissue on the ureter that doesn't react to it anymore because it softens the tissue. And he says, you don't want to go through it. First of all, it's a horrible surgery to have it done.
How long does the surgery take?
In hours, you mean? Or
How long does the surgery take altogether when you're on the operating table? How long? What does it take? An hour and a half? Less than that, or what?
more like 5 or 6.
5 to 6 hours.
They open you up like, if you can imagine.
Wow, that's scary.
The front of an old-fashioned Volkswagen Beetle. And they open you up all through and
Oh,
underneath.
I don't-
Oh,
And then they
it's
slap.
done much better. I had mine done a couple of years back,
Yeah,
but mine ended up getting infected, so I had to have it taken out.
really?
And a couple of other devices I've had, they've gotten infected, I've had to take them out. So I'm back to pads and briefs.
Right, just like me, right?
But also I've found in what's called an external catheter. What it is, it's a condom looking thing, has a little shoot on the end, you stick it on, it has an adhesive, and you roll it down just like a condom, and you put the bag with the hose into the end of it, and then you make sure there's no kink in it, you fall asleep. But I find I wake up when the bag is full and the line is full. So I have to get up, drain the bag, and then I can go back to sleep.
Do they come in sizes?
Yes, they do, actually.
Really?
Yes.
Small.
Yeah. because of the retraction, I personally it's a 23 millimeter. And I've found that they've run out of the Coloplast, Freedom Coloplast, something, but SS for sports short. So it's shorter. But it's been working great ever since that fiasco with the cuff and all that business.
And you didn't have to get up at once after about 6, 7, 8 hours sleep?
Oh, yeah. You get a full night's sleep. It's fantastic.
Right, so you don't have to wake
The,
up
the
anymore.
only problem is you have to make sure it's on correctly.
Right.
Yeah.
Because if it falls off, you end up getting wet and stuff too.
Right.
So there's another thing, it's called, it's made by Poise, I guess. It's a strap that when, after you roll it down, you put the strap around and you pull it kind of tight, not so you turn blue. You know, you gotta keep the blood flowing, but it stays on throughout the night. And I sleep like a rock. I mean, I'm just one spot. So when I wake up in the morning, I leave the bag, it's laying on the floor, I pick it up, and it drains into the thing, I run into the bathroom, and do it, and I'm up for the day. So it's...
You have to work during the day too, or?
You can wear it during the day. They recommend not to wear it more than 24 hours. You know, to give yourself a rest and repair time and stuff. But I've worn it with a leg bag. I've worn it with the side bag, the regular bag. I've gone to concerts with it. I've gone to hockey games with it. Yeah, it's great.
So that's after you tried the...
That was after I did the penile implant, and then I had the cuff. I did the penile implant twice, that both got infected. Then I got this thing, well, not this, but the sphincter, the artificial sphincter, and that got infected. So then I was out of options unless I wanted to change pads every hour.
Now, what you have now, how long have you had this? 3 years, 2 years, or what?
I'd say I've been using this device probably about a year or so.
A year or so, right. But it's not a lifetime guarantee. Of course, we're all up there in age anyway, you know.
Oh, it's lifetime, but you have to change them. You can't
Right.
use the urinary bag forever. You have
Right.
to change it like once a month.
Right, yeah, sure, that's
You
what
know,
they do.
And
Yeah,
each
yeah,
of the condom things is one per night. And so I don't know what your insurances are, but I get 35 of them for the month. So if I'm going somewhere or if I need to give it a rest, you know, take it off during the day, and then if we're going out at night to a show, I can put another one on and then put the leg bag on, have it connected to the leg bag, and then we're good to go.
No
And
surgery.
And there's no surgery. It's not surgery. It's just a condom.
But you have to get surgery when
I got this, yeah.
Right. And that was like 5 hours too, like,
Oh, no, it wasn't that long.
wasn't that long?
No.
I think there's a lot of changes.
There's
over
been
the years.
a lot of
I'm sure.
changes.
I'm sure every year.
Yeah, because
So, I mean,
the doctor I spoke to in the hospital when I had my hernia surgery, you know, I had hernia in the stomach there, Tampa General Hospital, and she had told me her husband got this thing, and she told me that the surgery took about an hour or something like that. Well, you're saying 5 hours. I said, boy, that's
probably
But that's-
recovery and
but
training.
that's less than 10 years too since you had it, right?
Yeah.
And you said 5 hours, that's a long time.
Yeah, a lot of things have changed.
Right.
too.
Yeah, I'm sure every year.
And especially the way you said the covers like this.
Yeah, that-
No, it's not like that at
Not
all.
anymore.
Yeah.
That's longer than the surgery I had for prostate cancer. I had the surgery on June of 2017. So this June of 28 will make 6 years. And after I had the surgery, it took about 3 hours, my doctors told me. And but they spread it to the lymph nodes, though.
Yeah,
And
but-
so and they told me that, and then I was talking to the American Cancer Society. They had me on the phone about 20 minutes. The guy didn't want to get off the phone, and he told me that for all the men that had the same surgery that I had, the prospect removed
Mhm.
and shredded the lymph nodes. The survey they took in 2016 showed that they got 14 years to live. And so this June 28th will make 6 years, and I guess I got 8 years to go, because he said I got 14 years to live.
Well, it looks like I had 4 years to live.
And,
I had mine 10 years ago.
But I got the leaks, like it's just been going on since I had the surgery, and
I looked into that. I mean, that
Right.
sounds like
It's-
why would you not try it? There's no
very
downside.
convenient. Oh, it's wonderful. And then going to the shows or going to the hockey games and stuff, my wife had bought this thing that covers the bag. And so it comes, I wear shorts most of the time. So the tube is encased in a Velcro thing, and it leads around into the bag. The bag is in another bag, and when you have to release the urine that collects, it opens up from the bottom with Velcro, and then you release it with a tube into the toilet. And then you go back into the thing, and you tuck it back into the bag. It's fantastic. It's great.
Is that where the old saying, "Don't pee on my leg and tell me it's raining"?
Well, if you don't close the cap on the
Yeah, you only do that once, right?
Problem.
Yeah, you'll remember that.
That is
This is
true.
strictly involuntary, then it happens, urination.
Yeah, I'm
So
fine.
you're not even feeling the urine?
No. No. And it goes through the condom, through the tube, into the bag.
So I feel the urge with the.
Well, see, I don't feel nothing. I could be peeing right now. But at night, I have no full bladder. It doesn't wake me up because it's going.
So you're not getting up at all during the
No.
evening then to pee, like for most of us here?
That's the nice thing about this, is
The
now your
only
quality
thing-
of sleep is better.
Actually, only if the bed, I have the bed laying on the floor rather than hanging on the side.
Right.
So laying on the floor, I don't know if it fills quicker or not, but the bag fills up, then the tube fills up, and then there's no place for the urine to go.
Right.
And so the urine will, over time, if it's there forever, will start to degrade the skin.
Yes.
So when it starts to sting, and that would wake me up.
Oh, all right.
And
And you can't get it just the size of the bag.
no, well, maybe you can.
Yeah, I wonder if
Actually,
you get a
maybe
bigger
you
bag.
A
maybe.
bigger bag.
Yeah,
Yeah.
but I think mine's like 1,200 milliliters or something. That's how much it holds. I mean, it's a regular hospital catheter bag. It's fantastic.
I gotta try something new, because I
Yeah.
just getting up 2
Yeah,
times.
see
2
that
times.
mess there, that was driving me out of my mind. I would have to change my clothes 2 to 3 times a night, change the bed 2 times a night, and I was just getting exhausted. I was more exhausted
Yeah,
trying to get a full night's sleep.
yeah.
And so, and that was after. Oh no, that was before I did the cuff, the sphincter, and then when that blew out,
What is this actually called?
the thing that I'm using,
Right.
that's really
Condom catheter.
it's an external catheter.
Condom catheter.
I had that for a while too, that didn't work either, for me. So,
What, the condom catheter?
Yeah, I had it about 3 years ago. And
It was on the outside and it rolled down your penis and you.
right, yeah. And
Okay, well, what happened with me when I first started using them, and you'd start to pee, and then all of a sudden you'd feel a burst, and then you'd blow it out. But there's like a strap that you can strap around it, and it'll tighten. You don't tighten it up, so you don't want to cut off the circulation. But it holds it in place for the night. It's fantastic.
Because otherwise it leaks, right? It'll eventually leak. The adhesive isn't good enough.
Yeah, the
You know, like-
adhesive would loosen with the back of the urine.
Yeah.
But it's fantastic. So I should.
I just can't get 6, 7 straight hours sleep without having to get up at least once, twice, sometimes 3 times. Most of the times it's been 1 or 2 times, sometimes 3 times. But I never seem to wet the bed, but I gotta get up. And like you said, you don't put the lights on, but I do put the lights on in the bedroom, not in the bedroom, because I don't have that hard walk to. But it's really a pain in the neck, and I'm just lucky that I don't fall to sleep during the daytime. I never need to take a nap because I'm fine. And when I do get back in the bed, I don't have no problems falling asleep again, like that. Sometimes it'll take maybe 15 or 20 minutes. I figure like that, but that's not all that bad. But I still usually get to sleep fast. But that 2 or 3 times a night is really getting to me.
It's still a disruption of sleep.
Yes,
Yeah,
it is.
regardless it is.
It is, right. But somehow when I do get up, because I'm in the bed between 10:30 and 11:30 every night, doesn't matter what day it is. And I get up between 6 o'clock and 6:30 every morning. Never changed. I've been doing this for years. And I've been retired for 27 years. But like I told you, I work for the transit authority, the subway train. I operate the train. And I was used to getting up early when I was working with transit. I get up at 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock in the morning and start 6 o'clock, sometimes I would work 14 hours, But so nothing has changed through the years as far as going to bed and getting up, and I just can't sleep for 7 or 8 hours because I'm just laying in bed and I can't sleep no more. And I say to myself, I got to get up and face the day.
You don't need it.
There's always something to do,
Yeah. And you don't need it. Your body, if you're not forcing your body awake and it's waking up naturally, you're getting all the sleep that your body can take in that segment. So that's all that your body needs, and you're getting everything done. And the other side to it is you're able to fall right back to sleep. So you're just one of those quality sleepers that it comes right back when. It's kind of like what David was saying is if your mind starts running, you won't fall asleep, but you're able to just turn it off, go back to sleep, get into that REM cycle again, do the repair that needs to be done, and you get the work done, and then you wake up.
That's a big help.
Yeah.
That melatonin.
Mm-hmm.
There's an over-the-counter thing you can get melatonin.
There is.
I've taken that melatonin in order to try and increase the amount of hours of sleep I'm getting. You can get in 3 milligrams, 5 milligrams. You can go into the CVS and buy it over the counter, and it's called melatonin, which is sleep. I wind up getting longer sleep, but when I wake up from it, I almost feel drugged.
Yeah.
I don't know if
Yes.
you're having the same experience.
Yeah, that's
or not.
the
It's almost
challenge
like
with it.
there's almost like a drug to it.
So
you feel like you've been drugged a little bit. But
yeah.
after I'm up and moving,
Then cortisol kicks in and you
and
process it
I'm
out.
fine.
Yes.
And I feel like I got plenty of sleep. But now I'm wondering, is that quality of sleep by taking that?
It is. Your sleep quality is still there. It's good. What you can do with that is you can do 2 things. You can take a smaller dose of it, so you can dose it back a little bit, or you can take it earlier in the evening.
If I take it early, then I'm sorry, I might be falling asleep.
Well,
at
that's-
7 o'clock in front of my wife.
That's why you have to kind of play with it. We call it an art and a science with it, because you have to kind of we know the science of it. It has what we call a half-life. A half-life is how long it takes for half of the drug to get through your system. And so every drug has a half-life. We know the half-life of melatonin, but what determines how long it stays in your system is how quickly you process it. So that half-life, well, that's a scientific number. It becomes an artistic kind of progression when we look at how you process it through. Experiment with either a lower dose or taking it just a little early. It can be 30 minutes early. Like, do you take it right before bed now?
I usually will walk in
And take it right then? Yeah.
Take it right then.
Yeah.
And it helps me fall asleep. And
Yeah.
instead of rolling back and forth
Yeah.
for 20 minutes,
Yeah.
all of a sudden I'm finding myself going to sleep in 10 minutes or 5 minutes.
Move it up 10, 15 minutes before and just see
And
how
it's
you
not
do.
it's not a narcotic, but it's
Yes,
just
Not at
a
all.
natural.
Absolutely.
But you still feel that after effect in the morning, huh?
It's still in the
I
system,
still
unfortunately.
feel
Yeah.
having after effect when I wake. Now I'm still waking up my normal hour, but I'm still getting up at 5 o'clock in the morning. Waking up.
A little groggy.
But I feel a little groggy
Yes.
as a result of that. So I'm always wondering, is that good sleep I'm forcing? Or am I forcing the sleep and it's not quality sleep?
It is. So you're not forcing the sleep in the sense of forcing your body to do it. Melatonin just helps in the process. We know that if there's melatonin there, the body will more naturally move through the stages of sleep. So you're just getting there's so much in there that your body's still processing it out at 5 o'clock. So if you shorten your dose or move it earlier,
I
you
like
can
that
shift
idea.
it.
I just maybe cut the pill in half
Yep.
or
Yep.
or just take it a half hour early. Good
Yep.
idea.
Either one, you can do either. If you said which one would I try first, I'd try a lower dose first. My only concern with melatonin over time is your body produces melatonin, right? So we know that it's something your body produces. When we give it to it, externally like that, our body will then over time develop a process where it doesn't produce as much. So there is the potential that your body will then downregulate its own production of melatonin. So
And requiring you to take more.
then that's what a dependence is, yes. So that's what happens with alcohol or anything that we put into our body.
Right.
We develop a dependence on it.
Yeah, because I was sharing that experience with another woman, and she said she's up to taking 5 or 10 doses of
So
that pill, whereas right now the one I'm taking is at 3.
Yeah. So what I recommend you do with any supplement, and it doesn't matter if it's melatonin or whatever you might be doing, is take a holiday, a supplement holiday. Even if you take a vitamin, take a supplement, take a vitamin holiday, where you take a period of time where you don't take it. So a good time to do this is you're on vacation, and you know that if you don't get great sleep, it's okay. Take a vacation from it. It can be 5 days, it can be 7 days, doesn't matter. But when you get it out of your system, your body will upregulate it again. And this is just like if anybody's taking testosterone replacement therapy. If you were to stop taking TRT, you would have a depressed amount of it, and then your body would kick its own production back up. So you can do the same thing with melatonin. Yeah. So just working in. I mean, if it's once or twice a year, even just to get it out of your system, that way you can kind of go long. And that's what the woman needs to do. Is she needs to take a holiday off of it. Yeah, we call it a supplement holiday, or they do it. So Adderall is a drug that is given to children for hyperactivity and attention deficit, and they'll do in the summer. They won't have them take the Adderall, and they call it a drug holiday. So then their own body can re-regulate, and then they'll actually grow. And there's some things that happen, suppression with that drug, and we call it a holiday. You come off of it, and the body kind of catches back up. So it's neat. The kids will actually grow during the summer and catch up to their peers. Yeah. So it's a pharmaceutical approach that we can use with supplements or anything that you put in your body that's synthetic. Vitamins, same thing. I always tell people, when you get to the end of your vitamin, take a couple days off. Because if your vitamin has a bunch of vitamin C in it, and you're taking in a bunch of vitamin C, well, your body stops, then it loses the affinity to absorb vitamin C from citrus fruits. So take a couple days off, let your body kick back into doing it itself, and then you can add the extra back in.
Very good, thank you.
Yeah.
You're taking that because you don't get enough sleep?
Yeah, well, I feel like if I don't take it, I'm waking up at 3, 4 o'clock in the morning. And I'm going to bed at 10, so I'm only getting 4 hours of sleep. And I can function with it, but I'm still wondering why I'm falling asleep sitting in the chair at 6 o'clock at night. Or 7
Yeah,
o'clock at
yeah,
night.
yeah.
That's it.
Back to free and clear. And in the back it has the directions. Put it on, it's like fun, hold it down, tighten it to make sure the adhesive is tightened. And then you have to buy that strap separate. And you hook it onto the back. Good going.
It's a pretty non-invasive
No,
solution.
it's very good.
Yeah.
But the only problem is wearing it, it wears down the skin. So you have to buy a skin, what do they call it?
Like a cream or something?
Vaseline.
Oh, very.
Yeah.
That you put on the skin before you put the adhesive.
Well, yeah, you can put it on, you have to wait till it dries, and then you put that on. It's easier for the adhesive to adhere and come off.
Yeah. And I'd imagine same thing there. You can times when you don't need to use it, if you can give your skin the chance to.
Right, so like I wore it last night. And so.
Oh, they're inside. I thought it was this whole bag. It would never fit.
And so.
Always the optimist.
I wore it last night, took it off, and now I'm resting it until tonight, and I'll put it on again. So, but it's just, it relieves that problem.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Doctor,
Yeah, please.
when you talked about the holiday and pharmaceuticals that help you sleep, like lorazepam, so you can't just quit that for.
No, so when you get to something like that, supplements, we can do that. When we get to pharmaceuticals, you have to talk to your doctor about that and how to work that, because every drug has a different titration effect to it. So yeah, lorazepam is one that you want to ask your prescribing physician how to do it. But do talk to them about it if you're concerned about that. What most people will notice on a medication like that, are you taking it for sleep?
Yes.
Okay, so yeah, if you're taking lorazepam, it's a pharmaceutical. It's like a really strong melatonin. Let's think about that. If you're doing that, if you notice that it's not having the effect that it used to have,
Right.
that's when you want to talk to him. Say, I think this isn't working, and he'll tell you, well, you're at this dose. You know, we can go up. We have this range. You can ask him what's our range, because you know this woman was on 10 pills. Did you say?
Oh, sure. 10 milligrams.
Oh, 10 milligrams. She's on 10 milligrams. So she's a lot higher than you are. So she's probably at the top end of the range. If you're at your top end of the range of lorazepam, you want to ask him, you know, is there a way that we can do a couple of days where I don't have it? Where should I do that? But he might tell you, oh, you're fine. If you've been on it for a year and you've only gone up, you know, 5 milligrams, you can go up to 25. We're good for another 5 years. You know, he'll kind of know based on the medicine. But yeah, your pharmaceuticals, you have to look at how to take that medication, just like the Adderall medicine. Yeah. There are stronger medicines to create sleep. One other option for sleep that is interesting is vitamin C. Vitamin C has the ability to suppress cortisol. It works really well when people have a racing mind at night. Vitamin C will suppress the cortisol that's occurring when you're having that thought process, and then help sleep. So a number of people find that just taking vitamin C before bed, kind of like the melatonin, if it's a cortisol issue, will help them sleep better.
You know, I usually take vitamin C because I just take a lot of supplements, but I'm wondering, so I should be taking vitamin C in the evening time.
Well, you already got the melatonin, so I don't know if I'd stack the
Stack
two.
it.
Yeah, I don't know if I'd stack them. You got something that works, but you know, and if it was racing mind, it works really good for people whose mind, they wake up and they can't get their mind and it stops. Yeah,
That's
yeah.
what I was
Stress.
Can you take it when the mind is racing?
Yeah.
Help right
Yeah,
there.
anytime take. So it's actually a really good supplement for reducing any stress response in the body. So a lot of athletes take it post-workout to reduce the stress of vitamin C. Yes, and if you look at any post-workout recovery drink, it's going to have some vitamin C in it for that reason. So helps reduce inflammation, lowers cortisol, helps the body recover. The only downside to it is, and it's water-soluble vitamin, so you can't overdose on it, but it has what we call bowel tolerance. So how we eliminate it is water soluble, so we eliminate it through our urine and through our feces. If you get too much vitamin C in your system, your body has to get it out. It's going to put some in your urine, it's going to put the rest in your feces, and what happens when it puts it into your stool, it loosens your stool up. So if you're constipated, that's great. If you're not, now you got a whole other problem, right? So you got to be careful how much you take, because it can create a diarrhea or a very loose stool. But it's actually a very natural stool softener. Works well for that.
And also, since my cancer that's spread to the lymph nodes, I get the injection every 6 months, L-God.
Mm-hmm.
Oh, yeah.
And that's 45 milligrams.
Progress.
Getting that now for every 6 months.
You can mute or unmute yourself by pressing *6.
How we doing on time? We're doing good? Okay.
Look,
Yeah, I've got 10 minutes. 10 minutes to go.
do you?
All right.
Want me to sign out?
I remember about that vitamin C, that's.
Yeah, I guess you signed in, you're in forever. I signed in.
Jeez.
Do I need to?
Is it
report
so
here?
Southern California.
Is it Satan or is it St. Peter?
No, just, I just went through the.
Take care, Jim.
Yeah, see you next month.
Take care.
I'll see you
That's
next month.
what the recommendation would be. But one of the things he told me is that he should be trying to eat walnuts.
Yes. I've got it on the list right here.
Walnuts.
Nutrition was my next thing. Yeah,
Yeah,
walnuts.
walnuts.
Yeah, no, go, keep going. That's
I
perfect.
used to like those California walnuts, but the
Walnuts.
only thing is,
And
I
I'm sorry.
don't want to eat walnuts any kind of nuts anymore, because I've had hernia surgery 2 times in the stomach and like that.
You can still do it. You just got to chew the heck out of them.
Right.
You got to chew them up.
And the
good.
doctor told me not no more nuts, so.
Yeah.
And pomegranate
I-
juice
I-
was
Yeah.
the other thing, the two things he told me to take.
Absolutely.
Walnuts and pomegranate.
Yep. Absolutely.
What does that mean?
Well, so walnuts are one thing that have been shown in research to help with cancer. But so have pumpkin seeds And we've got a lot of data that seem to link this up. Now, when we look at research, we look at it and we say, well, it's either conclusive, it's a definite, it's inconclusive but suggestive, or we have no association. And what ends up happening is a lot of these studies are done in mice. And then we have to make this jump the leap, jump the bridge from mice to human and assume it's going to be the same. So we might inject a mouse with cancer and then give them pumpkin seed extract and see do the cancer cells in the mouse grow or reduce. So we have some research that shows that walnuts look pretty good. So when they test, all these foods have been tested and almonds have been tested and that. So what I would say is eat the nuts and seeds that you like. Walnuts certainly, but if you like almonds, great. Those have shown. If you like pumpkin seeds, wonderful. Those have shown anti-cancerous properties to them. So, but what
You can buy a bag of mixed walnuts where you get all of that in one.
you can, yeah, absolutely. That's a great thing. Just do the mixed nuts and get them all in there. Biggest thing is you want to watch how much salt's in the nuts, and they are calorically dense. So nuts and seeds are one of the most calorically dense foods you can put in your body. So it doesn't take a lot of them to have a therapeutic effect. So don't, what I would say is take out the amount you're going to have, and a serving would be a handful. So if you're having 5 or 6 handfuls, that's 5 or 6 times the amount that you need. So 1 cup of nuts is going to be, if you had a cup, 1 cup of nuts is roughly going to be about 800 calories. That's like eating 8 baked potatoes. You'd never eat 8 baked potatoes, so don't eat a whole cup of nuts. So kind of be careful of the amount of calories you have.
That's a lot of calories.
Yes. Yeah. What's that?
Kind of like potato chips.
Oh, just like potato chips. Yeah. Yeah. So what I say is all those products like that, nuts, chips, anything like that, take the serving size you're going to have, pull it out, take the bag, the container, then put it away, and then eat your serving size. Otherwise, you'll be going back to that bag over and over again.
Yeah, that happens all the time.
Yeah, my little routine is I just drop it into a thing of yogurt.
Yeah, perfect. Yes.
Mix it with yogurt and take that.
That's, nuts, seeds, those things, they're great toppings on yogurt, they're on oatmeal, things like that. They work really good for that. They go good on salads. You throw them on top of a salad. They work
Those
really well there.
walnuts and the almonds are also good for the cholesterol. It keeps cholesterol down.
The walnuts.
Right, yeah, that's what my health insurance company says. Send me a folder, and they have a story on the nuts, almonds, and the California walnuts.
Yeah, they're unsaturated fat.
Yeah,
that's what it does.
yeah, right.
Unsaturated as opposed to the saturated fat.
If you don't have a lot of cholesterol or hardly any at all, that's a good thing to have. The walnuts, the California walnuts, and the almonds, right?
Yep, absolutely. Yeah. Just in balance and moderation with the rest of your diet. So otherwise you'll have an excess calorie issue then happening and stuff. You get too many calories in. Now those things we know, it's interesting when you think about the research, those things we know are beneficial. There are also things we know, we'll kind of segue into nutrition, there's things we know about nutrition that are actually pro-cancer, that actually help cancer cells grow. And one of the biggest ones is processed meat. So any deli lunch meats, any processed meats.
Even pastrami, because I love pastrami. That's about the only processed meat I like.
Yeah.
And I'm from New York, and anybody from New York, if you remember the cats on the 205 East Houston Street.
Houston Street.
Right.
Yeah, I
Remember the
ate
cats?
sandwich,
Is that where you're from too? Remember the cats?
Yep.
You got the best pastrami in the world. I love pastrami. That's what pastrami means. That's the only
Moderation.
processed meat I like.
Moderation.
Moderation?
That goes right out the window.
So those processed meats are what we call a class 1 carcinogen. A class 1 carcinogen is a food product or an item, it's alcohol is a class 1 carcinogen that are known to cause cancer. So,
Pepperoni.
pardon?
Pepperonis.
Oh gosh, not pepperoni. Everything. No, yes, absolutely pepperoni.
Yes, thank you.
Is it the nitrates that are? in it?
Yes, yeah, and it's the nitrate.
So if you got deli meats without nitrates?
So that's the best thing to do is get a nitrate-free deli meat. Absolutely, yeah. And then balance and moderation. That's going to be the key with it, is not have too much of it. So don't say I can't have my pastrami. Certainly is having an effect, but breathing diesel exhaust has the same effect, right? I mean, you get stuck behind a car. There's nothing you can do about it. You just don't drive behind a diesel truck every day. So it's the amount that you have, and our body has the ability to detoxify itself. there's 3 ways our body detoxifies these toxins out: our urine, our sweat, and our feces. And that's how we get toxins out of our body. So as long as we're using those 3 processes, we're urinating frequently, we're sweating through exercise, and we have good bowel movements regularly, we'll push a lot of this toxin out of our body when we get exposed to it. So our body has that ability to do so, as long as the amount going in isn't more than the body can handle pushing out. And we're using those 3 processes to push through, which brings us to hydration. And, you know, a lot of times you're probably thinking you don't want to drink at all, right? You go somewhere, it's like, I don't want to have to deal with it. So then we end up setting up a situation where we're in a dehydrated state and we're not getting the detoxification that our body needs, because we use urine more than we do sweat or feces, right? You urinate more every day than you sweat or that you move bowel movements, right? So it's the one that's the most common use of removing toxins from the body. So we want to make sure we're getting enough water through our system, and coffee too. Actually, interestingly, coffee has been shown to reduce the occurrence of prostate cancer, reduce the severity of it, and the reoccurrence afterwards. Coffee, yeah, coffee.
Does it matter whether it's caffeinated or decaf?
They didn't say. They didn't say in this research. They didn't
Every
look it up.
2 or
but-
3 years, they always come out the story about coffee. It's good for you, it's not good for you, and you know.
From prostate
it changes
cancer,
all the time.
1 to 4 cups shows that it actually helps.
4 cups, boy, that's a lot.
1 to 4, 1 to 4.
That's a lot.
Yeah, they did one study where they had 4 cups a day,
Wow.
and they saw a beneficial effect at 4. Now, it's a lot of caffeine if you're
Yeah.
four.
Around the building.
Yeah. But then you're going to be urinating a lot, you know. So is it just a detoxification effect of that going on? Maybe it's not the coffee at all. It's just the detox from that much liquid.
Does it make any difference whether it's decaf or?
That's what he asked.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I just asked.
Yeah, the study didn't show that, so they were all regular straight coffee. So
Right, yeah, because since I got the leaks, I can't have I try to stay away from decaf
Yeah.
and anything that's gonna do with chocolate, like that, so.
Yeah.
We've had a couple of speakers here that said, stay away from bottled water. They said, drink the tap water and filter it through a carbon filter.
That's what I do.
Is that
What I
you
do. The reason why is the plastic, right? So we know that if you store water in plastic, and then if that temperature, that plastic changes at all, the plastic is going to leach into the water. So, you know, you might say, well, I keep it at a cool temperature. Well, it sat on a truck somewhere in the summertime, and that truck's not cool.
It's sitting in my garage right now.
Yeah, I wouldn't touch it, yeah.
Yeah,
that's-
Dr. Gavin was a strong
Yeah.
advocate or disadvocate of plastic bottles.
Yeah.
That's because of the PVD
Yes.
or whatever it is.
EPA.
Whatever it is.
Yep.
It's-
Yep.
yeah.
Yeah.
Because I thought they got away with that. or
Well,
away from that rather.
They have, so then they moved to another one that's now showing the same effect. So unfortunately, yeah. So of course, it's plastic is plastic. I don't think they're gonna get to the point where we can't get there, you know.
But I think I'm gonna take my case of water back to Costco.
Yeah.
It's unopened.
It's unopened. Don't take anything back. Yep. Yeah.
What about volume? How much water?
So great question. Well, ideally, take your weight, cut it in half, and that's about how many ounces of water you should drink per day. It's a rough estimate, but it's a really good. If you take your weight, cut it in half, and you're getting that much water in a day, you're doing great. I tell people if you're getting less than half of that number, you're probably dehydrated. The sweet spot's probably somewhere in between there. If you're getting more than half your body weight in ounces, you're pushing more through your system than you need to. If you're getting less than half of that number, you're probably not getting enough. So and it's just a rough estimate. It's a good rough estimate.
That's actually exactly the estimate I heard the other day from our nutritionist.
Mhm.
You remember Nora Clemens, who spoke to our group some time ago. She gave a speech a couple of days ago at a conference we were doing, exactly that formula.
Yeah.
And
It's
the
a-
same approach to it as
Mhm.
well. A
Take
little
your
bit
body
of-
weight, cut it in
Yeah,
half.
I'm
and that's
180,
the
so I cut it in half to 90,
90 ounces a day. you should have.
90 ounces a day. And if you're off by 20 ounces,
It doesn't
it's
matter.
not the
Yeah,
end of the world.
it's not. Yeah.
What's a gallon?
It's like a 12 ounce,
120.
you got a 12 ounce bottle of water, so you're looking at almost 8 hours of water a day.
A
So
lot of water.
here's
It's
the
a lot
reason
of
why.
water. And caffeine doesn't count.
It does count, yes.
Yeah, caffeine does count. Yeah,
It
any
does.
liquid, because it's just coffee with water.
Okay.
It's just a bean run across water. So there's really just, if I was to break that down, it's just water with a coffee bean that was run through a tea. Same thing. Tea's good as well.
Okay.
So Diet Coke doesn't count. Diet Coke.
Oh, Diet That's on the
There is some,
carcinogen.
yeah, that's on the carcinogen list, unfortunately.
Just like drinking Diet Coke when you eat in a restaurant, when you're having French fries and chocolate.
Yeah.
So how you gonna lose weight if, I mean, if you got the Diet Coke, but you still have the chocolate cake and the French fries?
Yeah. So when you looked, were you at a gallon? What are you at?
I was at 136.
Yeah. So what ends up happening is that's a rough estimate for an average weight. You've got more muscle. You're tall. You're over 6 feet tall. How tall are you?
I'm only 5'8".
You're only 5'8".
Yeah.
Taller than that. Okay. But you've got more muscle. You look at your legs. There's a lot of muscle there.
It's relaxed muscle.
It's still there. Muscle is 73% water. So how this formula works is we assume if somebody has more weight on their body, they have more muscle, right? As somebody has more weight, they have more height, more muscle. They're going to have more water in that muscle, 73% at constant hydration. So we need more water going into your system. That's why I say it's a rough estimate and then adjust it down as necessary. So I would take that number that you got and say that's your max. You don't ever need to go over that. If you're getting half of that, you're...
I'm thinking, quarter of that.
Oh, wow. Yeah. Well, but that becomes the problem then when you think about, okay, well, I don't want to drink because I don't want to have to pee, right?
Yeah.
So then you end up getting into this dehydrated state that over the course of time, your body's not getting these detoxification
That's
needs.
why my veins have become.
Yes, they'll collapse. They'll collapse,
So
yeah.
we ended up putting a port in.
That's it.
Started chemo. So
Yeah.
Doctor, can you catch up, say, like you said,
Yes.
we don't want to drink because we're going somewhere.
Absolutely.
Later in the day, if you pound down 4 or 5
Absolutely.
bottles of
You
water,
sure can.
catch up?
Ideally, you want to space it out throughout the day. So imagine I got a plant sitting here and it's really dehydrated and I pour a gallon of water through it. Well, the plant doesn't need it all right now. It does need it over time. So the ideal scenario is we get it throughout the day. But once you're in a dehydrated state, go ahead and rehydrate. Put that through. Worst case scenario is you're just going to urinate the excess out. But I always tell people put as much in as you can. I talk about front loading so that we don't have to deal with the nighttime urinations. And I talk about tapering at night down to sipping before, a couple hours before bed. So I tell people get a big bottle, keep it right next to your bed. First thing in the morning, wake up and just drink that whole thing. You'll notice your urine is more yellow first thing in the morning than any other time of the day because you haven't drank all night. So all of that, and that's toxins coming out of your system going into your urine. And that's then when you need the most amount of water in your system. So you can front load it or pre-hydrate. If you're going to go somewhere and you're not going to drink for 6 hours, the last 6 hours of your day, go ahead and drink a bunch during the day. So at least you go into those 6 hours fully hydrated. And then you go, okay, well, I'm not going to drink when I get home, so I'll just drink again the next morning. Absolutely. The goal is to keep the dehydrated state down as much as possible. You don't want to live in that state, but our bodies can go into dehydration and then hydration, just like we can go into hunger and you go into starvation and eat and not like that. But the goal is not to live in that state for a long period of time.
Is the yellow urine an indication of dehydration?
Well, yes and no. It's an indication of either vitamins that your water-soluble vitamins kicking through or buildup of toxin in the urine, whatever your body's eliminating, right? So as you're seeing that, it could be because you're dehydrated, but it could just be that you've produced a lot of toxins that your body got rid of during nighttime when we're doing the repair of the cells. So, but we do use it as a measurement of dehydration. Because that means your urine should be basically clear, what that means is you're urinating enough to push toxins through your body enough that they're not building up to the point at which you can see them in the urine. So if you can see them, that means you're probably not drinking enough to push it through.
So first thing in the morning, it's not the end of the world, really.
No, because it's been 8 hours.
Yeah,
You know why.
but during the day, if
Yeah.
you continue to see that darkness, then you
Yeah.
have issues.
Yes. Unless you're taking water-soluble vitamins, B vitamins will make it yellow. So, no, but that should only be one urination after you take the vitamin. So it shouldn't be all day long, but you will notice that after you take a multivitamin that has B in it, it'll turn it yellow. So.
Now, recently, my appetite has been going down. So if I start drinking all this water, it's going to fill me up, and I'm not going to want to eat anyway.
Mm-hmm.
So
Yes.
what do you do about that? Kind of issue this breakfast meal or ensure or something?
You can eating foods that have a high water content, so that you're getting calories in with the water. Absolutely,
Okay.
yeah. So you can put foods that are water content, which will be fruits and vegetables, those are high water content. Yeah, so then you'll get the water along with it, and you won't have to drink as much, or you won't be as dehydrated not drinking as much. So,
Okay.
yeah.
That's the one thing I don't have to worry about is any yellow urine, because with me having the leaks, it's been so long since there's ever been yellow.
Build any, yeah. The other thing you can do is drink after your meals. It's not the best for digestion and digestive acids, because we want the acid in there to break down food, but you can eat the food and then drink the water afterwards. So then you're getting the hydration you need, but you're not impacting, because if you put a bunch of water in your stomach, you're not going to have as much room for food, right?
Exactly.
That's in there. It does process out relatively quickly, but it's an hour, it's still going to be there.
Yeah.
So if you eat and then drink afterwards, that works really well. People who are doing that, like I have a number of people that need to gain weight, and what I'll have them do is eat a solid meal, eat what they can solid-wise, and then have a shake. Have a protein shake, have a nutrition shake afterwards. And I tell them, I say, like, I give them a bowl. If I took the food they're going to eat and put it in a bowl, well, I can pour the shake in there. It's going to go all around the food and still fit in the bowl. So there's room in their stomach, and that liquid will go all around everything. So the water does that same thing afterwards. Just know that you are diluting your stomach acid a little bit when you do it. So
And it takes a little longer to digest.
it does, yeah. So, but that way you get the water in as well. Avoid drinking water before you eat your meals if you're having trouble with appetite, because it will only make it worse. So, yeah.
Only if you have trouble, right?
Only if you're having trouble.
Drinking water with my meals, anything I eat, is a must. I have to drink. I just can't eat without drinking something.
Yes.
And it's always water.
So,
Right. Even if it does go down without a problem, I still need to have something to drink too.
Yes.
And water is the best thing, like that.
Absolutely.
But I can't have no 6 to 8 hours glass like they say, but that's not really true that you really need 6 to 8 hours glass of water. But I'm down to like 3 or 4, sometimes only 3 because of my leaks.
Yeah, and that's what happens is we end up drinking less, and then we start this whole other process of not getting
And
enough.
I'm lucky that I don't get dry mouth or have any problems of falling asleep in the daytime and
Constipation.
even though I'm getting up 2 or 3 times a night, I get right back in the bed and get and fall asleep. And I'm lucky that's been going on for a long time.
and now you're gonna do it without any lights on anywhere.
Now I have to do like you said, just when I go to the bathroom, don't put the light on. The little light I can put in there like you have that can. Because I do put that light on in the bathroom.
Yeah, and that's, as soon as you do, light hits the eyes, melatonin production is gonna stop.
Well, I didn't know that. I never was told that, and I didn't, but I believe it. But because sometimes I'm in there more than a couple of minutes, before I get back in the dark bedroom,
The urologist I was talking to, besides the walnuts, had mentioned something called Zyclomed by New Chapters.
They're a company, a supplement company.
Yeah.
Not familiar with it. Do you know why you mentioned
He
it?
said that and walnuts and pomegranate juice.
Yeah, the pomegranate juice makes sense. The walnuts make sense. Yeah, I'm not. So
You're not familiar with that one?
No, I'm not.
And I don't know if he was getting it out of the Prostate Cancer Foundation, that's a recommendation or not. But he said, take that pomegranate juice and the walnuts in order to enhance prostate health. Yeah. And there's a lot of mixtures into this, like ginger and tea and some other things into this cyclamen.
I'm not
it was a little difficulty finding it.
Yeah, I'm not and this is my personal opinion, I'm not a pro-supplement person. I believe that the supplements do a great job of supplementing the income of the people who make them. So in 1997, the supplement industry was deregulated. Before 1997, there was one nutrition bar on the market. It was called MedRx. It was the only one on the market for years. Before 1997, if you wanted to produce a supplement, a nutrition bar, you had to go through the same procedures as a pharmaceutical company.
To get FDA.
Yes, you had to go through the same pharmaceutical, it's all the same process. In 1997, the government said, under pressure, they deregulated the supplement industry, which basically then said we're going to be on passive surveillance, which means they're not going to make you do anything. You can go produce your own supplement, and they're not going to do anything unless somebody responds with a complaint. So now the supplement industry is just full of all of these products that have no scientific basis behind
Basis
them.
at all.
Yeah, so it's very difficult to recommend any of them because I can't, where I'm saying I can't make that recommendation with any faith. Because there's nobody behind that supplement saying this has been tested, this is what it is. Over the years there was a German company that actually put steroids in their protein powder. Oh, it worked great. Worked wonderful, but they were all drugs. Yeah, they put steroids in the protein powder. Yeah. There was a company called Detour who made a nutrition bar that had 300% more sugar than was on the label. Well, they tasted great. The week it came out, 2 people brought them into me and said, these are the best nutrition bars ever. Look at the ingredients, they look great. Well, a couple months later, somebody sent it to a lab, tested it, and it had 300% more sugar than was on the label. So
Yeah, that's the lack of regulation.
lack of regulation, yeah. So from that point, I haven't touched the supplements.
It's interesting that we're hearing more and more of that approach from medical people.
Yeah. You can't
Nutritionists.
recommend it, yeah.
It's just getting harder and harder to.
You can take 20 a day if you watch commercials.
You could.
Oh,
Yeah.
yeah.
Unbelievable, yeah.
But the margin is phenomenal on it because now you don't, what's it take to get it to market? Nothing. So put something
On
in
the other
there.
hand, I'm taking something like vitamin C, which
Right.
is a supplement.
Right, so we don't know, right? We vitamin C, at least it's one that is a pretty pure, easy, straightforward
Yeah,
vitamin. They're not going to screw it up, right? You hope.
Or vitamin E or something else.
Yeah.
There's a whole host of vitamins. out
Yep.
there.
Yeah, and they're not regulated. So the more technical it gets,
Yes.
the less likely that it's going to be what it says it is.
Right.
That's the tough part. So, so I tell people try it. I'd say buy a bottle, try it. If you notice a difference, then maybe it's having an effect. If you think it's having a difference, stop it and see if the effect goes away. And then you'll know. Then you kind of do your own scientific study of one on it. Take it, see if you notice an improvement. If you don't, stop it, see if you notice a decrease. Works well for sleep, melatonin, things like that.
Yeah, I asked this of one of the nutritionists too. This broccoli seed extract that has sulfur, I don't know how to pronounce it, sulfur gain or something in it?
Yes.
Isn't that supposed to be like really good to help with cancer?
It can. What I would say is, do you think it's better to get that in a powder form or in its natural form?
Well, you'd have to eat a truckload of broccoli every day, wouldn't you?
Well, you would, except for the fact that if you eat it regularly over time, the chances of building that up in your system are great. And we know it's in the broccoli. We don't know it's in the powder. So people ask me about protein powders all the time, and should I take it? And I say, we have never proven that protein in powder form is bioavailable to the body, which means the body can actually absorb it and use it. There is no study that proves that powder is actually going into your body in the same form, casein or whey, whichever form they were using, into the system as it would in the natural state. So it's an act of faith at that point. You can do it, but just know you gotta know that you're believing in the system.
I can take that.
So,
Okay.
I know, but it's so much easier to pop a pill, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, yeah. So
Yeah.
easy.
Yeah. But what my response would be, just eat broccoli regularly. Eat it raw, eat it cooked, eat it, just put it in your system. And that's for any cruciferous vegetable. That's any green cruciferous vegetable will do that.
Oh, really?
I'm not so good with broccoli.
I'm like the broccoli.
Butch, Stina Butch, remember him, he talked about broccoli, he hated it, but I don't care for it too much. Yeah, that's the first, yeah.
Oh, okay, Senior Bush, yeah.
The first one,
Yeah,
yeah.
yeah.
I don't eat too much because almost any green vegetable except for that. I just doesn't agree with me, I don't know, with my system, you know?
Yeah.
But spinach, I can eat spinach.
Perfect. Then
5
use
days
spinach.
a week, you know?
Perfect, then do it.
Right,
Then eat it
right.
5 days a week,
Right.
absolutely. Doesn't matter which green vegetable you eat, as long as you're eating them.
Right,
Eat any of them, eat a variety of them.
Right,
Yeah.
A lot of us have blood thinner issues.
Yeah, you gotta be careful with
Spinach-
that.
Spinach, you have to be careful.
Kale, spinach, all
Vitamin
those.
K.
Vitamin K. Yeah, yeah.
Makes the blood thinner.
It does, yeah.
If you're on it.
Yeah, it can.
Would you say
It's rare,
spinach
it's
is
rare,
blood
but
thinner?
possible.
Spinach is a blood thinner?
No, the opposite.
Oh,
They work against each other for some reason. Vitamin K and blood thinners.
because I take a blood thinner every day, and I take the also.
Uh-huh.
So I take that that's to prevent me from getting the stroke. I don't,
Mhm.
came close to having a stroke about 5 years ago, but it wasn't a stroke, so,
Probably
I think
half
that-
of us are on.
right,
blood
yeah,
thinners,
so I take that,
Aspirin.
I take that small tiny red pill, you know, every day at night. Usually my doctor wants me to take it with dinner, so that's what I do, you know. I take
But
it every
isn't
night.
a vitamin E a blood thinner?
I don't,
Hmm.
I don't know. All I
I don't
know
know
is
if he
the
does.
contradiction between K
Yes.
and
Yeah,
blood
blood
thinners
thinners.
is,
Yeah, because you're like going into surgery, they recommend you stay away from certain vitamins because it is actually a blood thinner.
Right, yeah, well, you can't have, you gotta stop taking it about 3 or 4 days before you get surgery.
Before you get surgery.
Right, yeah, sure.
Yeah.
And for some odd reason, I was thinking vitamin E was one of them.
it might be,
Could be.
it might be,
Could be.
it might be, yeah.
Again, I don't supplement them, I get food, so.
So you just get most of it through natural foods.
If you eat a plant-based natural diet, you'll get all the nutrition your body needs. If you're eating that regularly. If you're eating ultra-processed, highly palatable junk food, you won't get that nutrition. But if you're eating foods in their natural state,
Like pizza.
like pizza,
Absolutely, with pepperoni.
pepperoni.
My pizza.
But I dig myself a hole.
Interestingly, vegetarians only showed a 10% lower incidence of prostate cancer. So it's
Only
not
10%.
only 10%, yeah, which you'd think it might be higher, but yeah, it's only 10%, but every percent counts, but I would have thought it would have been a higher percentage in there. So we know it's not diet alone. We know it's not, that's not the whole thing, not just eating vegetables.
So we got sleep, diet,
That's your hydration, no pizza.
hydration.
A lot to think about, boy. This is one of the most animated discussions we've had.
So that going to the bathroom will start tonight or in the morning, not to put it on. And I'll manage somehow, you know, because I do put that light on all the
Yeah.
time. And that's like 2 or 3 times, you know, and it has nothing to do with the light bill, because my light bill, I don't worry about that. I don't worry about the light bill. My light bill is close to 100, a little over 100 every month, but I don't worry about that because I love my air conditioning. I need air conditioning, and I can't do without it. And I need light at night before I get in the bed so I can read better, and because these are reading glasses, you see, so, and I did have cataract surgery in both my eyes, you know. And so cataracts don't come back once you have the cataract surgery, you know.
Best vision you'll ever have. Any
Yeah.
questions from the group out there?
I've got a couple of you muted, so if you have any questions, you might have to raise your hand, but anything additional for Dr. Emery or?
No.
Well, good.
The other things then, you said there were 5 things. We got sleep, nutrition.
Mm-hmm.
what's-
Well, physical activity, which we talked
Physical
about, the
activity.
exercise, yeah.
That's
yeah.
exercise.
Yeah.
You know what I'm thinking? Would you consider coming back?
Oh, absolutely, yeah. Yeah,
You
sure.
know, I just
Yeah.
voiced to Dr. Emery my thoughts over the past few minutes would be to continue and perhaps even get him back next month if we can
I'm
do it.
happy to, yeah.
And continue
Yeah.
where we are, it's sort of in the middle, because I think there are a
Yeah.
couple of other basic elements that he'd like to talk about.
Yeah, that we haven't
And I think it would
Yeah.
be great. And,
Yeah.
This has really been helpful, I think, for all of us, you know, and everybody's contributed so much, my gosh, you know, it's great.
Yeah, and thank you for sharing that, because I think that's a great option for you. If you're
Yeah.
thinking about the surgery, hearing what happened there and with you, actually, I mean, I'd be the condom cath right away. That would be,
Yeah.
I mean,
Right.
yeah.
Yeah, I'm thinking about getting that surgery, but like I said, like we all know, nothing is 100% guaranteed.
No.
He said 5 years.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You said less than 5 years.
Yeah.
So,
But
mine
We
would
can get 10 out of it, we're all right.
but
Yeah.
how long I'm gonna be around? I mean, I'm 82 years old. You know?
We'll get 10 out of it, you're all set.
You're gonna run it out.
You're not as long as you.
The American Cancer Society said I had 14 more years to live. That was almost 6 years ago.
Yeah.
So I got 8 years
You
left.
got 8
Yeah, we're gonna hold them to that.
That's
Like,
right.
Ollie.
Spend them wisely.
That's
Spend them wisely, yeah.
I have a question.
Yeah, please.
I just started chemo,
Yep.
and I am very anxious about the process of losing hair and, you know, all that goes with it. I mean, I keep getting this answer all the time, that everyone's different. In general, I would like to know, is there some sort of blueprint from your first treatment? Because I can say that you slated for 12.
Okay.
Cycles.
Yep.
So once every 3 weeks. And so I'm so anxious about the side effects and when they come about. First week, first day, second day, third day, 2 weeks, 4 weeks, 9 weeks. And I know that the chemo is cumulative. So what, my question, what, how to combat that anxiety of it?
Which is interesting, you bring that up, because that's psychological stress. You have
Right.
to dig.
So I want to do that before I leave.
That's right, that's psychological stress. That
So-
was the other one. Yeah.
So I am at the edge of my seat trying to figure out what the side effects are gonna be and when they're gonna hit me. I mean, the first day when I had the chemo, I was fine. The second day, it was a lot of loose stool, a lot of that running around the bathroom. I had a Rob's acid, terrible. But it's kind of tapered off since. But I'm more tired than ever.
Yeah.
But what else? What other side effects are there? And when do they show up? And how can I get ready for that?
Yeah. When did you start? You started already?
Yeah, 2 weeks ago.
2 weeks ago?
I got the report at the end of December. Hold on, my calendar. And the first one was put in on the 5th.
So you've had one treatment 2 weeks ago.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And so I have the next one on the 26th, and then I have a hockey game that night. So
Okay, but you'll be okay for that.
I'll be all
Okay,
right with
yeah,
that.
that'll be okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But
And it'll be the next day before it really kind of gets to your
before it hits
system.
me.
Yeah.
Yeah. So being the second chemo treatment, is there a this happens in the first one, this happens in the second, this happens in the third, this happens in the fourth? Generally, I know everyone's different.
Yeah.
But I need to relieve my anxiety of the whole mess.
Yeah.
Yes.
What do you suggest?
I'll tell you what I know from, so I'm not on that side, right? So I don't do it, but I sit on the side of everybody going through it. So from an observational perspective, there's two things that I think play a role in why they say everybody's different. One, the type of chemo and the dosing regimen.
Okay.
Those two things, I think, impact it. And I think every doctor has their own idea of how they're going to use it and how much they're going to use. Their goal is to put enough in to have an effect without having all the negative side effects. And they try to, and I've had people where they've gone to two different doctors and the doctors are arguing back and forth about what treatment to do.
Really?
Yeah. So, and now the patient's stuck in the middle going, which one do I pick? This guy says, if I don't do what he says, I'm not going to get treated. And this guy says, this will work perfectly, but I won't have the side effects. He says, if I do that, I'll feel horrible. You know? So they're stuck in the middle. And I think both doctors are right. This one probably is going to be more effective. It's got more medicine, but it's going to have more side effects. This one may not take care of it. And so individually, the person I'm thinking about, they chose the lesser of the two. They went with the doctor that had the lesser approach and said, well, okay, if it doesn't work, then I'll go do the heavier approach. And it worked perfectly. And they had minimal side effects, lost their hair, had some fatigue, but just
Like,
fine.
for instance, like losing your hair. At what point out of the 12,
Yeah.
say, is that going to happen?
Depends on the
I mean,
dose.
I'm washing
Yeah.
my hair and going, oh, there's
Not
two
yet.
strands.
Okay, yeah.
And I'm combing my hair and it's not, the comb isn't full of hairs. I mean, I have a Bruins cap ready to go,
Yeah.
you know, as soon as that happens, but I'm just down. It's just, I don't know, and it's killing me.
So I'll speak from my area of expertise as a psychologist. Okay.
Yep.
Whatever's going to happen is going to happen, and it's going to happen the way it should happen because that's the way it will happen. So welcome it. Look at it as kind of an adventure and say, I don't know what's going to happen.
I'm not surprised.
And it's not going to be a surprise because you know it's coming.
But I don't know what's coming.
Exactly. And that's what we know. We know we don't know what's coming, and we're welcoming that to bring. And honestly, psychologically, that's probably the safest place to be because nobody can actually answer that question.
Except somebody who's going through it, what has.
They would have a different.
They would have a
No,
They would.
Yeah, unfortunately, just even the body different, the body metabolism, like his metabolism's different.
Yeah.
It impacts, it's amazing how I have two guys that had the same treatment and they have totally different responses. And that's
Well, that was just a
frustrating.
waste of a damn hour then. Okay.
Here's what I
2
can
days
tell you.
intervention.
So doing this 30 years, this is what I can tell you. There's a beginning, there's a middle, and there's an end. You're in the beginning. You're gonna go into the middle, and that's what you're worried about, right? Because you don't know what that is.
I'm worried about the
But-
whole damn fucking
There-
ride.
But so
No,
here's what I
just
can
a
tell you.
mess.
There will be an end. And you're having 13 treatments?
That's 12.
12 treatments. So
12.
you're having 12 treatments, you'll get to the 12th treatment, and you'll be at the end.
Yeah, but in the middle of all that.
I know, that's the tough
But in the
part.
middle of all that, like I said,
Yeah,
the 26th we have a hockey game.
yeah.
Then we're going to see Ed Sheeran. Then we're supposed to go to then we're supposed to go to Mexico. And then we go back to Boston in July. We're going to see Ed Sheeran again at Gillette.
Oh, I'll go see both
And
those
then-
for you. How about that?
And then we're coming back. I don't know what we're doing in August. But then in October, our anniversary, we're going to Vegas to see Pink, who's playing on our anniversary date. So we got all these plans, but I don't know what's to expect.
I know. And you don't know,
Because-
can you commit to those things?
We've already committed to
Right,
them.
yeah, right, yeah.
So, I mean, it's
Can you
gonna
be
be a
there?
matter of, I'll go and I'll be just,
How will you feel? Yeah.
I'll be chuffed.
I know.
But with my every 3 weeks, the day after, I have to get an injection. And then the following week, they want labs. And then the third week, they want labs also.
I know. I wish I had an answer.
Florida cancer?
One thing you'll be able to do is, you'll be able to watch the Buccaneers beat those Cowboys tonight at least, huh?
Yeah. That's none of my wheelhouse, but.
You don't follow the football that much. huh?
No,
Like hockey.
But, oh,
Yeah. If I could answer that, I'd be in Vegas. You know, I mean, because it's like, yeah, I know, if I can predict the future, yeah. I
But
know.
it's just, and I don't know the whole list of side effects to look for.
And aren't you frustrated that they're not giving you that?
Yes, I'm pissed.
Yeah, because they don't know either. That's the
Because
problem.
everyone's different.
Yep,
Yeah.
I know. It's like, you're kidding me. How many times have you done this? You should know by now.
No, really.
But it's
You
different
should have
every
clue.
time. Yep, it's different every
It's
time.
just bugs the shit.
Here's what you probably will know. What I can say is, as you start to move through it, you're gonna, every day and every treatment. So when you get to treatment number 4, you're gonna have a pretty darn good idea of what's ahead. You kind of know this is what it's gonna be like.
Is it gonna plateau at 4?
Well, you're gonna know
4,
how
5, and
tired you
6.
get afterwards. You know how bad the diarrhea is afterwards. It doesn't change. Those don't change. The hair will change over time with every treatment. But your response to the treatment stays roughly the same as you go through. If you're gonna have a really negative response to the treatment, you probably would know that now with your first one. You'd be like,
Oh,
that
okay.
sucked, And I got 12. You'd be counting those down, right?
Yeah.
Because
Yeah.
if that's the case, the day after was the worst.
Yeah.
And just the tiredness from,
Yeah.
the last.
Yeah. That's good. That's a good sign.
But that's the only
Yeah.
thing, I'm golden.
You'll know, get a 4, get a few of them in there, get a few, because they.
I mean, I had a few dry heaves and stuff like that,
Mhm.
but I think that was more mucus generated, because I was a smoker too.
Mm.
So,
You'll know, so you won't have to wait till 12 to find out. You'll know before, you'll be so then that'll help you when you start planning those trips to know, okay, well,
it planned
this is gonna,
already.
yeah,
This is-
but you'll know when your injection is relative, or when your treatment is relative to when you're going to kind of adjust.
And so I'm thinking, okay, so we're going to the Gillette Stadium, or we're going to Tampa, and we're going to see this concert. Now, we've got the handicap tickets, because I got handicap playing anymore in business. So I don't know when I'm gonna have to jump up and leave.
Mhm.
It's all that personal stuff,
I know. Yep.
and it's just. It's killing me.
Well, it'll work out. Somehow it'll work out.
Yeah, I'll let them know to have a mop available.
You just open that little tube down there on the ground, just let it out. Yeah.
I'm not waiting in line.
Yeah, you don't have to wait in line. You just lean forward to that guy right in front of you and just let it out underneath his seat.
I think so much of it is attitude, though. When you've got a great attitude,
I
you may be
think I
upset,
don't
but-
mind going, getting this was a breeze,
Yeah,
and having the blood taken out. That's all. It's the not knowing.
yeah,
Yeah.
I know.
Certainly.
I did not sleep a week the night before
Yeah.
first.
Yeah.
Yeah. Kind of
Yeah.
shit.
And so I can guarantee you'll be sleeping a whole lot better number 4 than you did number 1.
They slept while they were giving the shit to me.
Yeah.
Because everyone, this is it.
That's
This is
it.
all it is.
That's it. The port makes it so much easier,
Oh, yeah.
otherwise having to go here.
Oh, absolutely. The time before, I think they jabbed me 3 times trying to find blood to let.
I'd recommend the port just because it's just,
Yeah.
yeah, once
Want
it's
to
in.
check it out.
yeah. And you may keep it for a period of time afterwards in case you need it again. I've had some people that keep it in for a little bit. You just have to flush it. You have to flush it every so often.
Well,
But if
they
there's a
flush it
chance
every
for
time
them,
they use it.
right, and if you don't, or if you're not having treatments, but there's a chance you might have to,
Yeah.
you can say, can I just keep the port in, and you come, I think it's every 4 weeks to flush, something like that, and you just flush it.
Oh.
If there's a chance you're gonna need it again, rather
Yeah.
than take it out and put it back in. So I have some people that keep it for that, because doesn't hurt that sitting there.
Sounds great.
Yeah. Well, I wish I could answer that for you. I wish I could tell you. but-
Well, I like the adventure thing.
It's an
You're gonna-
adventure.
yeah.
Let's pretend we're going through the jungle.
Yeah,
We'll come across this and we won't come across that.
yeah, that's it.
Well, that's all I got.
Yeah.
All right.
Guys,
Gentlemen, it's been a pleasure.
it has been a pleasure, truly, yeah. Thank you, everybody, for being such a big help in the whole process.
Okay,
Yeah,
so
no, thank you, David.
we may see you next month, Doctor.
You
huh?
might,
Yeah.
see.
Talk
Susan's
eventually,
on the schedule.
I'm gonna work on one.
Yeah.
All right, guys.
Oh, sounds
Well,
good.
Thanks so much.
Scott's gonna call me in another couple of minutes.
Oh, you're ready to
Yeah,
go.
yeah. So they,
Thanks, everybody.
yeah.
See you guys.
All right.
Right, yeah.